So, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all our viewers around the globe. And thank you for joining us again for another series of intimate conversations. And if you feel compelled to push the subscribe button on my YouTube channel, that would be amazing. And share these chats with anyone that you feel might be interested. And today on Intimate Conversations, we have Jeffree Clarkson. Thanks, Jeffree, for coming along and welcome.
Hi Mandy, it's good to be here and good to share in such beautiful, wise conversations.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you. And yeah, if any of you don't know Jeffree, been following Jeffree for years, and we actually used to end up at a few expos and things together, didn't we?
We
But
did, yeah.
beautiful music, absolutely a joyous person, and somebody who has definitely been holding the line, the light, the love for ever is one of the pioneers, which is Intimate Conversation was started on to just celebrate the pioneers who've been working hard behind the scenes for a very, very long time on raising the energy and the vibration of the planet and humanity. So thank you, Jeff, for all you do and all that you produce and create. It's beautiful.
Oh, thanks Mandy. Yes, I guess pioneers is not a bad word, is it? But
Yeah.
I must admit it happened pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Once
It's
upon a time, not that long ago, I felt like I was just coming up, introducing something new to me
yeah.
and new to a lot of people at the time, but it caught,
Mhm.
I guess, I started, well, I did a lot of personal development in my early 30s, not long after I completed with rock and roll, and and then I got involved in started making albums and then started selling them at those fairs you just mentioned,
Yeah,
and then I started playing at the fairs you just mentioned,
that's right.
it's actually a lot when I think about it now. The first album, Butterflies, like over 40 years old,
Yeah,
41 years old. Where did the time go? But I guess once you live in the now, here's something profound. Once you live in the now, you don't notice the time passing,
you
and you
don't.
can you can look back and go, "Whoa, what happened?" And
Yeah,
and, and that's what life's like in a way. You don't waste it. Just get on with it. Yeah,
absolutely. And it is so like that. And you try and think of what you did yesterday, and often it's already gone because you're in this moment now.
that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
and they
I'm
say
just,
old people get forgetful. No, they don't. They
no,
just they just prioritize what they remember. That's all.
absolutely. I know, and I like that too. It's good. It's good fun. I'll just read your bio here
Yep.
and introduce you to those that may not know you. So, Jeffree Clarkson is a musician, composer, and author known for his soothing compositions under the Jeffree Music label. With over 3 decades in the industry, he's become a pioneer in relaxing and meditative music. His sound, a blend of serene piano, ethereal synths, and nature inspired elements, offers a tranquil listening experience that resonates with audiences worldwide. Clarkson is also an author, writing books and articles that explore themes of peace, mindfulness, and spiritual well being. His works guide readers towards a balanced and harmonious life, complementing his musical creations. Through both his music and writing, Jeffree promotes inner peace and tranquility, earning him a dedicated following and critical acclaim. Exactly that. Um,
Mm,
so, Jeffree, were you an aware, conscious child?
I think so. Um, I don't really know. I was from a big family, and we had eight in the
Mhm.
family, and so there was a lot of people around all the time, and I had certain thoughts about this and that. I have a book out called In the Key of Peace, and that's when I released um, the news, if you like, the
Yeah.
some of my childhood, where I had some experiences, some almost what you would call clairaudient experiences. That is,
Yeah.
you can hear sound that most people can't hear. And it was around me whenever I was in nature and I was feeling really relaxed and in touch with everything. Didn't seem to happen when I was walking down the street and the cars going by, blah, blah.
Right.
But it always happened when I was in nature. And of course, rather fortunately, I lived in the same street I was born in, and I was born at the end of the street, and I knew it was only about maybe 100 metres down the road from where I was born is where we lived. But across from where I was born was the botanical garden. So as a child, I would go there, and we're talking early 50s here, folks.
Yeah.
um, Early 1950s, and I remember going there. I would have been 4 or 5 years old, I guess, and I remember going up there on my own. And you wouldn't do that today, would you? But you know, all the neighbours, not all the neighbours, but some of the neighbours knew who I was and would watch me in those days and just check I was okay. Does your mum know you're going? Where are you going? You
Yeah.
know?
That's it, eh?
And I,
Community.
yeah, and I'd just enjoy being in the gardens and being around nature. And there was one or two times that I had these experiences of when I would look into nature, I would hear the music vibration of nature.
Right.
And what I was listening to was music, which was at the time I didn't, it was just music. But in hindsight, once I learned to meditate, I realized what I was listening to way back then was actually slow, beautiful, vibrating music. And I used some of that. I was able to, once I learned to meditate in my 30s, I was able to recall um, the music that I'd heard as a child, and it got me going in the music I've created since.
Wow.
Very mystical in a way,
Yeah.
and yet I was quite a grounded little boy, really, coming from
Yeah.
Dunedin. You know, just I was an
Yeah.
ordinary kind of little guy. I haven't
Was a
changed
great
much, actually.
was a great time to grow up though, eh? I was
Oh, it
born
was, yeah.
58, so not long after you, but it was a lovely time to grow up. Really lovely.
Yeah, it was. And, you know, the Second World War had only just finished in 45. And
Mm.
so people were very keen to have a peaceful lifestyle. And
Yeah.
it did. It went through the 50s and it was only
Yeah.
disrupted by rock and roll toward the end of the 50s and Elvis and
Mm.
all those. But that was great too, wasn't
It
it?
was.
Because I became a teenager when all that happened. And of course,
Yeah.
I got involved in rock and roll. It was like perfectly timed. Well, I did because I'd had this. I connected with music in my very early childhood, so there was always that music thing
Yeah.
around me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Were your family that way though?
one or
Like,
two, one or two.
okay.
My mum was a good singer, uh,
Mm.
and my dad he played in a brass band,
Right.
and but
You'd had to come somewhere, eh, in that line. Not had to, but it's often.
yeah, we're not always like our parents, but
No.
we can be a kickback from or kick forward from an ancestor. And I know that I
Yeah.
had a great grand uncle who used to play piano at the silent movies. So
Oh,
at
serious.
the silent movies, when you had Buster Keaton and Charlie Chaplin, all those,
Yeah.
um, they either had a text come up or they just did it without anything. And there would be a real piano player in the theatre playing away,
Yes.
tinkering away. Well, I had a relative who did that. So
Oh, wow.
that's my only claim to fame.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a cool thing. Um, and so did you play in bands when you were young?
Yeah, I
Like, did
did. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I started off, I was, most boys joined the Scouts in
yeah.
those days. And the Scouts is not that popular here now, but it is in
No.
Australia. It is in Australia. But I joined the Scouts, and the Scouts had an annual they had an annual show they would put on to raise funds and things. And it was very polished and very good. And there were some people who were quite significant in the show who were related to scouting, and they came and helped out. And that was my first experience of stage. And I got singled out. I think it was just my confidence, you know. My mum and dad always encouraged me, thought I was good. It was kind
Yeah.
of embarrassing to a little boy actually to, oh, leave it out, you know. And but I was confident, and I got one or two solo parts right from the beginning. I was in that show for 5 years in a row. And just after that show, I really, and that would have been by about 64, 1964, 65, I got involved in rock and roll. I was already playing the guitar, and so I got a band going, and you know, probably about 6 or 8 bands later, I was in the famous band here in New Zealand, Flight X7. A lot of people don't remember that band, but a lot of
Yeah.
people do remember it.
Yeah.
And I did very well in that. And that was right up to when I was 30, 31 years old, from when I was about 15, roughly. But I kind of grew out of rock and roll. I don't know what
Yeah.
happened really. In the book I talk about it, and I'm thinking of revising it a little bit because thinking about why I transited from rock and roll to meditation music was such a
Yeah.
big jump. I had to, at the time, I just wanted to do it because I wasn't enjoying myself in rock and roll. I had
Yeah.
both my parents had died within 18 months of each other,
Oh,
and I received a little bit of money. They weren't that wealthy, but I received a little bit of money, and I thought I'd make them a dedication album, a solo
oh,
album,
that
and
was
I had
beautiful.
just finished with the band, and so rather than go to meditation music straight away, I did this one to one, an album titled One to One. It was a solo effort, and it did all right actually. I wrote a song for my mother called Dear Jeannie. Her name was Jeannie, and it got to number 12 on the hit parade.
Oh,
Still out there actually. It's on my YouTube site. But uh, I still can't figure it out. I think it was mainly because I wasn't enjoying the industry side, the business side of music.
yeah.
It was dishonest,
Yeah.
and there were opportunists in rock and roll. Everybody wanted to be part of rock and roll, even those that didn't
Right.
play music. They
Yeah.
just wanted to be around, you know.
Yeah.
And so there were types that were just there for themselves. And unfortunately, the band, we did well, but it wasn't a fun time. And I thought, no, this is not why I'm here musically.
Wow.
And by that time, I'd completely blocked out those memories I had as a child. I I wouldn't have known it until I started to meditate. And
Right.
then after a while, I started to have these memories of being a child and being in the gardens and hearing this music, and gradually, you know, every few meditations they'd come back to me, and I'd explore until it became quite a clear a memory after that.
Oh,
And
that's really awesome,
yeah,
Jeff, because meditation, I balked at it when I first started getting into it. It was like everyone's doing it's a fashion thing, and I don't follow fashion, so I didn't want to be like the crowd, you know.
yeah,
But but once I started, oh my goodness,
yeah,
it's something I feel everyone really could do and get
yeah.
a lot of benefit from. It's
Oh,
such a
yes,
good thing.
yeah,
What we need to do often, but we get to a point where we're walking meditation really, eh? We've got that zone, I suppose, that we're in that sort of, we don't have to actually go into meditate anymore, but
mm.
it's always good to sit in that stillness and silence. Just
Well,
listen.
I meditate every morning, and I have done for all that time.
Yeah,
And perhaps more lately, when I say more lately, there were times going back 20 years where I would
yeah,
miss a day or two here, but generally I was a pretty committed meditator because I did see what happened to me when that happened. I thought, oh, this is really valuable.
yeah.
Um,
So is.
and I felt better too, like going from
Yeah,
a stressful rock and roll singing. I was a singer at that stage, and I was singing, and I could not hear myself because everything was so loud,
yeah,
and that was because the management wanted it that way.
yeah.
And it's not like I wanted quiet music. I love rock and roll for its volume, but it was just
Yes.
too much,
Yeah,
and I
I
couldn't
understand.
change it. So
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, I thought meditation was really valuable. So I meditate every day today. every morning,
Mm.
and
Yeah.
I restart my day. And in doing that, I'm on a journey, and that's been a template for my music in a way. And that how to meditate, I do push my barrel a wee bit on if you want to meditate easily, do it to music, and the music will take you on a journey. It'll be
Yeah.
your journey because it's
Yeah.
you that's listening to it, and but that journey thing continues from meditation to meditation to
Mm.
meditation. And if I stop now, it would be like turning the switch off on a mini series, Oh,
Yeah.
I got to know what's going to happen next,
I I get it. Yeah, I
So there's
know.
no way I'm stopping meditate. And I think you're right when you say, all people. It would definitely benefit all people. And some people just they got too much of the Eastern version of it when it arrives. So when I
Yeah.
think the Beatles, actually, funnily enough, all the music thing was interesting because the Beatles met Maharishi, and Maharishi got
Mm.
the trend going, or they helped that to happen.
Yeah.
And of course, TM, Transcendental Meditation, which is the most powerful meditation
Yeah.
organization in the West,
Yeah.
it came from that.
Mm.
But in my personal development in the early '80s, I noticed that not everybody resonated with the Eastern approach to meditation, despite the
Yeah.
fact that was traditional to meditation. I found that because it meant so much to me, I kind of analysed it in a way and worked out what was happening and what was important, and
Yeah.
and a lot of people struggled with a mantra and thoughts, uh, uh, getting
Yes,
confused about
for sure.
where the mantra was and where the thoughts are, and then they were being told by their teacher, well, don't have your thoughts, clear your mind, and so I thought, well, I don't know, thoughts. If thoughts are there, they're natural, and I want to make meditation should be natural,
Yeah.
and the way it was traditionally was natural to the East, but not to the West.
Yes.
Music was a really good way of helping with that, because then they could let go their mantra if it was uncomfortable, and just have the music playing very quietly. And I mean
Mm.
very quietly, because
Yeah.
meditation is such a quiet space. And I got little courses going, and I taught hundreds of people to meditate to music. But
Mm.
I
Beautiful.
think it would be great for the world to even embrace meditation more. So I'm now on to phase two. Well, it was a real juggle to, where I love to be is, writing the music, talking about the concepts, talking about the insights we get from meditation. But
Yeah.
but where I think I need to go is to just go out and promote that idea a little bit now,
Yeah.
because I think
Beautiful.
right now people are more ready to
Ah,
take on something a little bit new, and anything that has to do with de-stress and being able to handle
absolutely.
their lives a bit easier, I think is the thing. So here I
Yeah.
am. So my latest thing was to get myself launched into the USA, which I've just
Beautiful.
starting. Yeah.
Oh, that's really awesome.
Mm.
Such a good thing because like now, I mean, there's so many stressed people out there, and it is something that would be a great healing tool for many because it centers, it aligns you, it brings back your,
Mm.
inner awareness to the body too, because a lot aren't connecting into their body, you
No,
know.
quite.
So it's
It makes the body and the mind one whole thing.
it does.
And
Yeah.
then people start looking after themselves a little
Mm,
better. They start eating better.
yeah.
They start having fun in their body, exercising, walking, doing things,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's what the body wants.
It is.
Yeah.
And funny though, when you say about the Beatles and, you know, John and Yoko sort of really went into all of that, didn't they? And
Yep.
there was a lot of, oh God, the hippies, there was a
Yeah.
lot of all that sort of conversation going around, but
Mm.
they did open it up. It was great.
Well, my kids occasionally call me the new age hippie.
Mm, I know mine do too. It's funny, isn't it?
but
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 I'm
we know
good
we
with
know
that.
different. Huh?
Absolutely, and I'm all good with that
Oh,
anyway.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think it's I'd rather be seen as that or known as that rather than a warmongerer,
yeah,
somebody else that's the opposite. But
yeah.
yeah,
Well, there's a
it's a
lot
good
going
thing.
on today, isn't there? I mean,
Oh,
there's a lot of stuff going on in the what would you call it, development, developed society, the elite,
yeah,
the upper echelon, and then the people down below who are possibly feeling disenfranchised but don't realise it. Who will
absolutely.
just put up with whatever happens, and yet they're starting to get a bit angry now. And there's all
Yeah,
sorts of people that jump between the two and spread rumours, and
yeah,
it's a time for everybody to have their say, I guess. But
I
and I guess,
suppose.
but it's also a time for people to discriminate what they're going to follow,
Exactly.
and not just believe everything you hear because
Mm.
a lot today is made up.
Oh, so much. I just nothing fits me other than what I know and hear.
Yeah,
It's everything is just so false out there at the moment. It's unreal. So much untruth and all of the stuff. But you learn to decipher, and you do that better by knowing your body and
yeah,
listening to the body's saying.
yeah,
So yeah, it's a big learning curve for many at the moment, and I see so many stressed. But
yeah,
until they do look for something different or do it differently,
yeah.
that's what they'll be. But yeah, and that's a great thing for you to do that, Jeff. That's awesome.
Well, I think the thing
It's really
is, it's not just a theory anymore. Once upon a time, you
no,
talk to people about a meditation and what that would bring you, how you would feel if you meditated, blah, blah, blah. But really, it's not about telling people anymore. It's about modeling it.
experience. Yeah.
And I think and I think the insightful people are really getting that
Yeah.
it's past the time of telling people what to do. That people who
Mhm.
had enough of being told what to do,
Exactly.
um, they're more likely to take note of someone who looks like they're enjoying their life, someone who is
That's right.
can put on a happy face in amongst everything that's going on,
That's
is
right.
somebody that might be worth finding out and chatting to.
Yeah,
And I think that's the best way,
it is.
particularly today, is just to be the person who lives in the world you want to see,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's
Totally. It is. It's being the example, and I know when I have been recognize that I had a fear of actually, through earlier years, fear of actually putting myself into that space of being that example.
mm,
And then, being shown that without doing that, like if I don't do that, I'm never going to reach those people
yeah,
because I'm not being the example that they're looking for.
yeah,
So yeah, and that thing of just walking the talk. I think it's really important.
yeah,
Important.
yeah.
That people see you as being real.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember getting off a plane from Australia, coming to New Zealand when I was living in Australia a few years ago, and then I'd pop over here to see my grandkids,
Mm.
I got off, and it was a Christmas, it was close to Christmas, and I came from the airport and I went to Manukau City Centre, the shopping centre there, and I was I was because they got really wide passageways in that
Yeah.
shopping centre, and I was walking down there, and I came up, and there was a couple I noticed just in front of me who were in their teens, and they were not very happy with each other. I don't know why, and the female of the two was not going to talk to him, and the other one, he's sort of trying to explain to her, and I thought, oh, so I slowed down my gait and I walked behind them, and I must have walked for maybe about 100 meters, and
Mm.
they were both talking to each finally, and all I did was when I walked behind them, I just showered them with positive energy, resolution,
Mm.
completion, rah, rah, and I did
Yeah.
just that, and I came away, and I remember that because that was what I was thinking at the time, was how important is walking your talk? How, and do you need to talk? Um, you know, these days people are starting to talk about these powers we have, these spiritual powers. We
Mhm.
don't actually have to we don't have to join the groups and
No.
protests, and there has to be somebody who's being the peace,
Mm-hmm.
and that audience needs to be there. And what do? Well, they don't do anything. They just meditate and create peace around them, and
Yeah.
create peace in the world, and that's how it actually
Yeah.
happens. You know, we have these abilities. Those who
Yeah.
meditate and have meditated for a while now have the abilities to project their energy, but unless they try it, unless they
Yeah.
stop talking and start doing being, they'll never know they've got that. And
Exactly.
and so and it's used in a very humble way. It's not a special power that only some
No.
people have. All it's available to all people. It's about well, it for me. It's been a long time.
Mm.
It's been many years of hard work,
Yeah.
and that has culminated in this. But for me, it's something I do to help is, and I know a lot of people. I've spoken to a lot of people who want to join protest groups, who feel like they've got to stop it, you know.
Yeah, I know.
And I always say,
Yeah.
well, look, don't join an army. Don't make yourself into an army. You're just going to confront everybody, and it's just going to
Yeah.
be everybody confronting you. Stand back, be peace, be the happy person you truly are inside. Be the
Mm.
soul that came
Yeah.
here, and that makes a difference. Oh, but isn't that putting your head in the sand? No, it's not. It's being who you are, and there's nothing more powerful in your life than you being you. And
Exactly. Yeah,
that's it.
exactly,
Yeah.
Jeffrey. And it's like Mother Teresa was trying to teach us all too, you know, don't
Mm,
protest about war,
yeah.
actually protest
That's right.
about peace, or, you know, bring peace into it. Like she
That's right.
put,
She said she wouldn't go to an anti-war rally, but she'd
that's
go to a
right.
pro-peace one.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right.
Exactly.
Exactly
Exactly.
that. And
Mm,
I felt, because in the, you know, banners out and on the side of the road and all the things that were happening over the last 4 or 5 years, I was nowhere near that. It was like, that's not my place in all of this. My
mm,
place in all of this was to do exactly what you were saying. And I remember thinking, how many actually are out there doing that? Because
mm,
so many people were just so caught up in the battle, and we've got to stop it. We need to get out there and battle up. And I just sort of, you know, was sort of putting that energy out of more coming into the energetic space
yeah.
rather than the
Yeah.
physical active, you know, battle up space. And
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
I live on a farm, and I have a lot of animals. They're not product animals, they're pet
yeah,
animals, and there's lots
pets.
of them. There's
Oh,
up
I
to
love it.
50 of them.
Yeah.
And 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 I communicate with, to me, they're not animals, they're humans. They
Yeah.
think, they see, they enjoy, they're
Feel,
happy, they're
yes.
sad, they do all that stuff. And when I come up
Yeah.
close to them, they look me in the eye, and you know, when you do that with an alpaca, they got these big googly eyes, and but the thing is, how far does your energy go out? You know, my energy, like when I'm on the at home, is way out because I trust the space,
Yes.
and so and the animals are proof of that. And so if you're in and around groups and you go out into the city and you're shopping, consciously project your energy out a little further than you might.
Mhm.
And you might find that people come up to you and want to talk to you, and the checkout operator looks at you twice, and you know all these
Yeah.
things happen. And
Yeah.
you can smile back and say, you know, how's your day? You know, ask questions they never get asked,
Yeah.
and it basically show them that you're okay, you're good, and world's a great place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you know, I've smiled, I always smiling at people, but you know, there's the odd people that come along and you smile and they look at you as if something, you know, what are you doing? What's
Yeah.
happening? Like
Yeah.
it's really
Yeah.
uncomfortable. And you can
Yeah.
feel that boom, you know, it's like, wow.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, just
Interesting.
remember your energy is a lot more powerful, and that's probably why they're feeling that. But you know, there's nothing you can do about that. Yeah.
No,
And you're
no,
not hurting. You're not actually hurting them.
no.
No,
And I
you're
think they
making them think.
absolutely, and that's what
Yeah.
I was just going to say. I think they go away thinking, well, maybe, yeah,
Yeah.
maybe I might smile a bit more often, and
Yeah.
you know. But I
You'd be
think people are
surprised how what
coming.
people do once they leave your presence. and I'll
True.
try it out.
Exactly that.
Yeah,
Exactly. And the
yeah,
one thing that I always noticed was whenever I had a baby, like when my girls were little and they were in pushchairs and, at that toddler age, and then, my grandchildren and taking them out and people instantly, everyone always looks into the pushchair.
yeah,
And instantly there's an uplift. I noticed it all the time and I thought, how amazing these babies, we're just walking them around, but the joy that people get from just seeing them.
yeah.
And,
It's their joy that's
oh, it's
going
so
out. Yeah,
it's beautiful. It's so beautiful.
yeah,
I love that all the time. I loved it.
yeah.
But yeah.
So
So
important, and you can find, and people, once they start meditating and they do that regularly, if you do it every day, then you're creating a journey that goes right through your
yeah,
life, and it makes, after a while you start feeling contented and fulfilled, and you don't
yeah,
know why, and things can be just the same as they were a few weeks ago. Nothing's really fitting, but yet I feel okay,
yeah.
and
It's
so that's
important.
important. So
Yeah,
you're actually once that happens, you're actually helping to make this world a better place without actually physically doing anything. Well,
yeah.
you are physically doing something quite dramatic actually, but with your energy. Yeah,
Exactly
and it's a
that.
lot easier, and you can be doing it anywhere, and yeah,
Yeah, yeah, for
better
sure.
than AI.
It is absolutely. It is absolutely. And I, you see the difference. Like when I don't drop myself into what is out there, when I just be me and I stay in that and I walk through whatever it is, wherever it is, I notice people noticing.
Yeah.
Like there's forever somebody looking over, or they'll look before you actually get round the corner. They're looking to see who's coming.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
it is an awareness. I know it opens them up. I
Yeah.
know that we are activators when we're in that space. We activate others into that space
Yeah.
and the awareness of it, at least for them to move themselves to that space.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the more that we can do that now, and I feel after all the 4 or 5 years we've had, it's time people are now starting to come out.
Yeah.
I feel like it's safe enough to actually be okay with being me here today. And I
Yeah.
think that rattle up that we had, that shake up, really made people see that actually I'm just going to be me now. I'm going to do what I want to do, and I
Yeah.
don't have to listen or get anyone else's approval. I can
Mm.
make my own choices. It's sort of, I think, empowered lots and lots of people. But then there's the other side of it where those didn't. But that's okay
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Everyone to each their own, wherever we're up to
Well,
is good.
the world is in a real, it's changing.
It is.
And we're in the middle of it changing.
Yeah.
And it's changing because people are changing.
Mhm.
The world itself, the earth, it's only changing because it's rebalancing itself,
Yeah.
possibly partly from our footprint and also for a lot of other factors.
Yeah.
And whereas humanity is changing all the time, and the thing that's making the change is the people expressing themselves and discovering that they're so different. You know,
Yeah.
you've got. I made a statement that I don't think there's ever. I don't know. I can't qualify this, but I don't think there's ever been a time on planet Earth when there have been so many different types of people on the planet all at once.
Absolutely. And
Because I think,
creations.
yeah, I think most people went with each other just because they could do that. It
Yeah.
was safer, it was safer to be like the the community than do something radical in the old days.
Yeah.
Although there was always people that were radical, but today there's so many versions of that.
There
Um,
is.
and so it can be, if you look at it and think, oh my God, what's happening? What do I do? Blah, blah. If you're the sort of person who's used to following along, and now you're saying, well, which way do I go? Is this person good or bad, or blah, 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 what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Uh, what that's telling you to do is to come back to you,
Mm.
come back to who you are,
Yeah.
and live your life. Make sure you've got that right, because at the end, once you pass and go back to spirit,
Uh,
then
yeah.
this life is no more.
Mm.
So make sure you get that right, and when you do that, you are, and you're doing that positively, and you feel in integrity with your life, you'll be happy. You'll feel
Yeah.
happy, and you'll be doing a good thing for the world
Mm,
by just
yeah,
being who you are.
for sure. And it's so, important. I think it's what we came here to do, was to know thyself.
Yeah,
um, and be that. And I know that, when I started looking into and learning about myself and all of the things and releasing all my traumas and, all the stuff that we've been doing forever, but it's all good. And, when I realized how much I was living my life in accordance to what everyone else expected me to do,
yeah,
and was actually programming from their own belief system to
yeah,
me. It
yeah,
was like, man, I was nowhere near me. I was
yeah,
nowhere near me. I was creating me in their eyes.
yeah,
And it was, yeah, it was a big one, a big one. And then when I got that sorted, there was just this immense freedom, the feeling of freedom. And when I watched all of that last few years going in, and everyone, it's all about freedom, um, and speaking the truth and all of those things. It was almost like I wanted to put this bomb in there and go, but this isn't the road to freedom.
yeah.
It's not what the freedom is that we came in for. When
Mm,
you free yourself from the expectation and the eyes of everyone else and living your life in accordance to all of that,
mm,
and then that's where freedom is. And you
yeah,
don't need your placards and your
yeah. And I
battles.
think once you know that freedom is there, you can stray a little bit, and
Yeah,
we tend to. I don't know. This is my experience of being in touch with my real self,
yeah,
being away from my real self, and then going back to my real self. And I feel like I do this constantly. But when I'm away from my real self, I might not be thinking about so intensely or so focused about who I am. I'm doing
yeah,
something else,
yes,
and maybe I'm not, in the same place as meditation, but the energy of myself is there,
yes,
and I might not be
absolutely.
aware of it, but I'm doing it. And I
Yeah,
think you're right. I think that freedom is a personal thing. It's like meditation. It's a personal thing.
yeah,
Although we can do it together, we can do freedom together, but you can't make people be free. you
no,
the thing we have to learn about, so now we've got cell phones, and now the world knows everything about everyone, and we can look at any part of the world and know what's happening there,
yeah,
and it's making us global citizens, if you like. Well,
mhm,
it's turning us into, as far as planet Earth and a human life is concerned, is turning us into a collective consciousness. We're starting to think about
mhm,
that.
mhm.
And I think it's part of being able to make that transition, and to make humanity free, is
Yeah,
each one of us feeling free. So it's the old adage of, you can only have world peace if you have inner peace.
mhm,
So it's your peace that makes world peace, but you can't make world peace happen other
no,
than to make yourself peaceful. And I think people need to get that, because this is what's behind wars on the planet, is
it's,
that somebody wants to dominate something else and get rid of it,
yeah,
so that they can be the one
yeah,
that gives the orders. And this is not freedom. There's no choice in that.
no,
And there's no one wins.
no,
So these are things we have to learn yet. So
mm,
I found I was involved with the freedom movements, just after COVID. So 2021, I think I was in Wellington playing music in front of Parliament buildings. But what I was
beautiful,
bringing to that event, I never commented very much. I knew I stood firmly on the side of the underdog,
yeah,
because I think that there's a lot of humble people in that crowd,
yeah, for sure,
whereas in the elite, who are through their own uh, incompetence, I say, they're not
mhm,
planning to get rid of us. They're just not that good at what they do. There's not that
yeah,
much difference between the street sweeper and the prime minister. There's
yeah,
not a lot of difference between those people, yet there is in terms of how much one get paid, no matter how little one gets paid.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, I think that what I brought to there was peace, inner peace. Is what I
Mm,
brought to there. And I've been saying it all along when people say, oh, we're not free, we're not free. Well, we are free. We're free in ourselves to
we
be
are.
free, right?
Yeah.
In terms of the world being free, well, the only one way you can start that, be free yourself,
Yeah.
and then be that
Totally.
free out there in the world. Go and be free, you know.
Yeah.
And it's still a
Exactly.
message that the freedom movement still need to get, but they are
Yes.
one
For
by
sure.
one. There, I mean, I know a lot of people in the freedom movement who are doing exactly what you're doing, and what a lot of other people. They've gone back to living their lives and making sure
Yeah.
that's fulfilled, because if they're going to go out there and hold the placard, they want another life too that is relaxed and
Yes.
knows that when they do that, they're doing the right thing. They're not just following along what everybody else is doing.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I know there was a lot of I think a lot of mirror holding,
yeah,
you know,
yeah. Oh, yeah,
in many of those groups and yeah, conversations even. But yeah, it was a very interesting time. Oh my goodness.
it was
Glad
challenging.
glad we're
Yeah.
through it.
Well,
Mm.
you know, in some ways it's revving up again at the moment because of the changes. And so, but again, it's at a better time too, because some of us have had 2 or 3 years of realizing what stance we should be doing in terms of meditating and having a peaceful energy, helping to
Exactly.
heal people, healing
Yeah.
ourselves,
Mm.
that side of things. We don't make war.
No,
We don't take sides, and we're
no,
not sitting on the fence either.
no,
Uh,
we're not. That's
no,
something people thought, hey, it was,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know, I
Well,
gotta
that's
keep
the
that.
war. That's the war scenario. Yeah,
Yes.
one side or the other. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
no, there's more than two human beings.
Yeah, there
Yeah,
is. Yeah. No, it's a very I don't know, incredible time.
yeah,
You know, it's been an incredible journey this whole lifetime for me. And I know for you,
yeah.
those of us who recognize what's actually going on and how we are moving, at least things are shifting and changing, and we are shifting ourselves as well. We're not stagnant.
No,
And I think there's just such an incredible opportunity here.
I
So
think also. I
big.
think also there was the element of people want it to happen in their lifetime. What do they want to have happen? They want the world to go into peace. They want everybody to have enough money, and they
Yeah,
want to be able to feel like they're free in the world. And
yeah.
that might be something that is not in this lifetime,
Mm.
in my lifetime. So I'm 74, so you know, maybe 25, 26 years I'll be 100. I'm planning to go to 110.
Yes,
Anyway,
me too.
but the thing is, it doesn't worry me. I feel good that I'm just part of something now,
Yeah,
and I have a vision of what it might be, but I don't know when that vision will be, because the whole world has to come to that realization,
exactly.
and I'm not in charge of anyone else but me.
No.
And so I'm not even in charge of me sometimes. But anyway, uh,
Yeah. Oh, it's like that.
that's something that could be outside of my lifetime, and people need to be okay with that. They say, yep,
Yeah,
that's all right. I don't have to have it happen. And maybe that'll take the intensity out of the situation. I
exactly.
think what drives people to get so pissed off about it is that
Yeah,
I want it to happen while I'm here, you know. And
yeah.
I and I say, look, just find the fulfillment on being part of it, because you
Mm,
are.
yeah.
Yeah,
I was a bit that. I was like, yeah, that I want this now so that it's there for my grandchildren. And, it was a bit of a sort of frightening when I went into what this could do if that's following that narrative over there.
yeah,
What's going to happen and how will it be in the time of my grandchildren when they're adults, and it was just a bit of a concern. But
mm,
then it was that whole thing of reverse that, like not reverse it, but come back to the knowing of this is happening in your world right now.
mm,
Like in my world, that there is peace.
mm,
I don't have conflict. I don't have battles. I'm not in that space like yourself. And so
mm,
therefore, me being that. is now I'm seeing my children reflect it. I'm seeing and be it.
Mm,
And now my grandchildren, are also seeing and being.
mm.
And so that's it in our world.
Yeah. Well, they see it in you, and
Yeah,
if you're not frightened of the future, they won't be either.
that's
If
right.
you're
And
frightened of the future, don't show your grandkids.
yeah.
I actually don't want
Or
to know about that
I
because
know.
they're not even ready to see it yet.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But make it look like you're enjoying yourself, so that when they grow
yeah,
up and they, oh, Nano, when I saw Nano and she was enjoying herself and she was such and such old,
yeah,
and
yeah.
so that's the important thing. Yeah,
It is. Absolutely it is.
I have been alongside the music and the writing that I've been doing. There's also the thing for me with natural medicine. And my music is part of natural medicine in a sense that it supports meditation.
Totally. Yes.
And one of the most disappointing things, I guess you could say, over the last 5 or so years is the way natural medicine has been pushed aside by mainstream medicine. And mainstream medicine has come
Mm.
before and said, well, we're all the medicine there is.
Yeah.
And even in their own ranks, we've got a rather large organisation in New Zealand called Doctors SOS,
Yeah.
uh, and they don't agree with mainstream medicine. And um, I think that people need to realise, yeah, I don't have a doctor other than
Yeah.
my own self. If I got bad enough health wise, then I might have to have a doctor. But I doubt
Mm-hmm.
whether I will. In my affirmations every morning after I meditate, how well I am and how I'm keeping well and how I'm very grateful for that. And
Yeah.
I'm as good as I was 40 years ago in my early 30s.
Yeah.
This is. I've often written things about the human immune system. Your human immune system is you. Your will to live is your immunity. Your will to live a
Yes.
good and a wholesome life is your immunity. If you
Mm.
don't believe that, you could get sick. You can catch things.
Yeah.
Um, your cells are listening. You are your cells. You 50 trillion cells on legs. And the things you think are the things your cells are thinking. If you're not thinking good things, your cells will be subject to catching stuff
Yeah.
or not operating at their full potential. So seeing your health, this is a natural health view.
Mm.
And if you know if you look after yourself and if you can see your immune system in that light, you're going to live a long time uh, without needing what mainstream health is offering.
Yes.
And on the other
Absolutely.
natural, I think it was a couple last week. I think I wrote something on that about um, uh, how mainstream medicine calls natural health complementary medicine. That's the wrong way around. Complementary medicine is the main medicine. The
Yeah.
medicine that humans have been going for hundreds of thousands of years. In fact, there's new information out now that places quite advanced societies thousands of years ago, as advanced as us in our thinking, maybe not in our technology, but in our thinking,
Yeah.
and didn't have the problems we have today. And they existed. And right from there to here, we never had doctors to mid 1700s when they had a witch doctor and things like that. Well, they were probably better.
Yeah.
So people basically believed that their health was up to them. Imagine coming
Mm.
on to Earth as a human and remembering your last life in the say the 50s, and then coming on and coming into your new life and wanting to know where the doctor was, but there wasn't
Yeah.
any because you were
Yeah.
born in the past. You you uh, you don't need a doctor. The doctor
No,
is within you, and
absolutely.
and so I want to promote complementary medicine. It's the most important medicine. The most important medicine is to take care of yourself and,
Absolutely.
and to
Yeah.
learn about yourself and to connect with your body. Um,
Yes.
take a positive attitude on that
Mm.
whole aspect of life as part of I meditate too. You know,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, true. And I remember when, I mean, I do all the things that I do, but in the process of all of that in my earlier years, it was like, what is it that I'm actually here to do? Like, what is my purpose as such? That question everyone has. And Spirit said to me, look into your anger. The purpose is in your anger. And I was like, what? Anyway, I sat in that and I thought, what makes me angry? What is it that makes me angry? And man, straight away, it was seeing or knowing that people are putting pharmaceutical drugs into their body.
mm,
I really didn't realize that I had such a rant behind it,
yeah,
that it was like, and I don't say anything. Wasn't saying to people, oh, what are you doing putting that in your body? It wasn't like that. So when I looked at that, it was like, right, I'm here because I've always been about the cellular memory, clearing the cells and the patterning in our system and program, from our bloodlines and all sorts. But and that there, it was like, right, it's teaching people how to heal the body without medication
mm,
and the pharmaceutical medications anyway, but
mm,
and surgery even. I've
mm,
repaired two smashed toes through doing the processing that I do, and have proof of that. Like, I've got eyewitness people that can confirm that I did that.
yeah,
But that's the power that we have and what
yeah,
we've been distracted with. And I just watched this amazing, it's a series of 4 or 5 series put together into one whole documentary, and it's called the Century of Self. And it's about how over the last century, it's showing us how psychology was used.
yeah,
It started with Sigmund Freud and his the way that he, worked out what was going on with the brain and the mind and how people worked. And then his nephew, which I can't remember his last name, but he was Edward someone, took that information and then realized that, hang on a minute, we can use this to manipulate the masses. And he never thought of one-on-ones. He only ever worked and thought in mass, like
mm,
they termed it like Hitler.
mm,
So he went out and he started recognizing that emotions were suppressed. People were suppressing emotion. Nobody recognized that. They weren't, they were emotional, but they didn't speak about it, identify it in any way, shoved it all down. So he realized that to market something and sell it, we need to connect in with their emotion.
mm,
And so he started using it in that way. And then it just went, oh my goodness, it's a really, really, really interesting. But what I think it did for me, Jeffrey, was that it made me realize that we've been in this space, with that type of manipulation, if you think about it in that respect, if you look at that, and how we've been worked on as an experiment, really, because he, like I say, worked with mass. But this one man changed everything and
mm.
created everything that we're in now. And
Well,
that
he's,
here, that psychology is the thing we're here to free ourselves from,
yeah,
major.
yeah,
Was really interesting, but it was this, oh my God, it's only been 100 years. We can do this. Like,
yeah,
I knew that anyway, but only that it was 100 years. It's only
yeah.
this century.
Beginning of propaganda when I was at school. Funnily
Unreal.
enough, I have this memory of at school, this one memory, and I've always had it. Like the teacher came up to me. Oh, sorry, the teacher was at the front of the class, and the word we were going to focus on of the day was propaganda. I think I
Nice.
was in like standard six or something like that. Or maybe it was earlier than that because she says, does anyone know how to spell propaganda? And she turned around to the board with the chalk. And so I started calling out and I got it right because it's one of those phonetic words, isn't it?
Yeah.
Chances of getting it right are quite good. And I always, and then we all had to do the word propaganda, draw it and put things around it, and they all got hung up at the wall at the end. But and now see what propaganda is, and what you're talking about was where propaganda was being used. I
Yeah.
suspect that that a lot of people uh, those early people, in fact, people today, they're not out to get us. They
Mm.
just want the money. They've got
Yeah.
this empty hole inside them where they pour money in and
Hmm.
they think it makes them feel better and it doesn't. And it's trying to use something material to fulfill yourself when actually,
Yes.
if they did a course in psychology, they'd realize that it's not the money at all. It's something that happened to them as a child, or it's something that they need to work out,
Yeah.
and that will give them far more fulfillment than any amount of money. But what the damage that's being done is the elite are sucking the money, and unfortunately, the way that it's turning out is that there are people at the bottom who are paying for that. However,
Yeah.
the biggest problem after that is that people at the bottom feel victim. You can't be victim. This is just what's happened in the world, and the best thing you can do is know that you're part of the world. You're part of what you can see, and just
Um,
own it. Just say,
yeah.
"Yep, this is what I've done. What can I do about it now?
Exactly.
How can I empower a change in direction?"
Yeah.
And if and I think a lot of people, the major portion of society, have got used just to accepting things the way they are. They,
Yeah.
they, they don't feel they have the power to change it, and yet it's such an easy thing to change.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
but you can't, like I said earlier, you only got control over your own life. You can't control the masses. You,
That's right.
being yourself is definitely the best thing you can give to the world.
Yeah.
And after that, you've done it. There's nothing after
Yeah.
that. But all these little things come up for me, and when I'm writing my weekly newsletter for Substack, and
Yeah.
Substack's a good online um, platform for writers,
Yeah.
and so yeah, and it's a good, there are all sorts of people writing all sorts of things because it's
Mm,
uncensored, and I don't
yeah.
I don't take particular advantage of that. I don't feel I have anything that needs to be hidden.
No.
Um, but I have a lot of people comment on or contact me on some of the things I've been writing, which are pretty average things, but it does come under the
Beautiful.
auspices of you are the world, you are the power that can
That's
change. Just
it.
don't expect it to happen right now. Know that that's a
Yeah.
process, and you have to be
Exactly.
committed to it to keep it running its course. And people have
Absolutely.
got that. Yeah.
And yeah, and I think what I've been sort of putting out to people is to get used to the word power
Mm,
and speak to themselves, because power's been, given a really bad name in the way that
mm,
it's been used in life, um, with many. But but what I feel people are afraid of is that power within themselves.
yeah.
They know they have it. They're not sure what that is exactly, maybe, but
Mm,
but there's an innate knowing, and I think to become comfortable with the word power and knowing that that power is something that we all are.
yeah.
I think it's time for people to really grab that now and run with it, take it,
Yeah.
use it, be it.
Well, I
It's
think a lot more will because of
yeah,
what's
I do
happening.
too. Yeah, I do
Um,
too.
New Zealand is in an interesting place, I guess,
Yeah.
in terms of our social structures. And I mean, it's a beautiful country, same as Australia. But, the rest of the world's another place at the moment, isn't
It
it?
is, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
And
the planet itself is a gorgeous space, isn't it? I mean,
yeah.
it's so beautiful.
And
And I
it's a
think,
good, and it's a year of change.
yeah, for sure.
Chinese astrology, the year of the wooden snake. There are changes happening, and make the best of them. Just keep making yourself happier.
Yeah, that's it.
Find your own
Absolutely.
inner fulfillment. In fact, in a way, your inner fulfillment is your power,
Yeah.
and you won't use
That's,
it powerfully, or you don't have. It's not a power you use
no.
to impress, or even to fix. It's just a power you have, and you don't know what it does half the time. I mean, I've been writing music, and I still get letters from people saying, "Oh, Butterfly, Infinite Grace, it helped me so
Yeah.
much when I was doing this and that," and I've got a lot of those letters, and I had no idea that was happening.
I
Um,
know. It's out there, eh?
so it
I
just
know
proves
what you
the
mean.
point. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I
Mm.
know, Jeff, and you don't know who's using it, who's getting what from it. We sometimes don't need to know that, but when we do
Right.
hear, it's a great thing. It makes us feel, like, yeah, okay, this has been worth it in many ways, even though we're doing it a lot of the time because we love it ourselves and we just know this is what we're
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
But it's great when you get that sort of response.
Mm.
And you've had, you know, gosh, I don't know how many times I've listened to your music and meditated to it. It's just such a gorgeous offering from you, and I thank you so much for everything that you've done over the years, for all who you are, and all you do, honestly, and for holding that light and that love in your
Mm.
body for that emanates out and makes change. You've been an activator for many, and I
Oh,
really thank
thanks,
you and
Amanda. That's
appreciate you, Jeffrey.
nice of you to say, and I
Mm,
couldn't have done it on my own.
yeah.
There's everybody else doing that as well, and so I
Yeah.
feel like I'm part of a light family.
Oh, we
And
are, but it's nice to be recognised personally, though, for
yeah,
you
yeah,
do it,
I've
and I
always thought that.
really appreciate it.
As it's been something that's come through the genes really to be a musician. I mean,
Yeah.
I think there were gifts that I was given before I got here, but uh, the idea that a musician has to be recognised
Mm,
is something that all musicians get that little disease,
yeah.
and and they have to work with it. But in the end, it's quite profound, simple in a simple way. You just have to recognise yourself, and
Absolutely.
and then you don't need that anymore. So
No,
that was the change
exactly.
between rock and roll and meditation.
Yeah.
Was that change,
Yeah.
and I was glad to do it. Hey, the
Mm,
other thing happening right at the moment is the planets have all lined up.
yes.
And I have a really good app on my phone because I love to watch the stars. I love
Yeah.
it. And I
Me
know
too.
all about our solar system, and or I
Yeah.
think I do. And I've got an app on my phone that you can hold up to the sky and it'll tell you what a star is. And
Incredible,
so you
eh?
can go around, and at the moment, you can. Now, I just want to clarify for people that the stars aren't exactly lined up as you see in a lot of the advertising of that idea. They're within a bit. Like
Yeah.
there's probably about a 30-degree wide window in the sky where they're all blotted across. And one or two of them, I think Mercury and Pluto, are right on the other side of the sun, but they're still in the same line. So what that
Right.
means in terms of bringing that into the metaphysical, astrological, is this is a well-timed time we're living in right now. So anything that you are doing that you want to know if this is a good time to do it, it's a good time to do it, especially if it's a positive thing, and it doesn't happen very often because
Yeah.
I think the fact when the planets line up, it takes a long time.
That-
Yeah.
mm.
So a good time to do that. Get a lotto ticket.
Yeah, awesome. Let's do that. Oh, so lovely to talk with you, Jeff, and have this chat, and
Yep.
appreciate you, as I said, and all the very best. And how can people find you? Where can they find you? YouTube, definitely.
Yeah. Jeffreemusic.com. So Jeffrey with two E's. Um, and from there you can find me anywhere. That's probably the
Yeah.
best way. But check out Substack, and it's Substack at Peace Within is my
Okay. Yeah.
Substack address. But you can go to the website and join my database.
Mm.
I have a teach yourself to meditate audio guide on my website.
Oh,
If you want
lovely.
to learn to meditate using music, I'm working on a new piece at the moment. My last piece of music, In the Gardens, which relates back to how the energy was when I was seeing those things in the gardens, but is my best piece of music ever, and I love playing it.
Oh,
That's available on the website as well as all the other. We have CDs still, but not of everything. But we have
right. Yeah.
digital of everything, so
Yeah.
downloads. And if you subscribe to my newsletter, you get free entry to a streaming function in my website, so you then can listen to my music for nothing.
Oh,
Uh,
lovely.
like Spotify. I'm on Spotify, I'm on all the digital stores, but it's hard to
Right.
find it's very hard to find this type of music when they promote everything else at you.
Yeah.
But you can get that on my website, but you will need to subscribe. And it's kind of not much, saying about $5 a month or something like that.
Yeah. Beautiful. Oh, that's lovely.
Thanks, Mandy.
Awesome. Well, you have
Yeah,
a beautiful day for the rest of it. And thank you so much again. And all the very best. Much, much love.
yeah, same to you, and same to
Mm,
you all.
yes.
Thanks very much.
All
Okay,
righty. Thank
bye.
you. Bye bye.